Let's see if we can't figure this out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm coming to you from a different location. I recently moved out to Austin, Texas, so I'm in an Airbnb in Austin, Texas right now, and I made the 27-hour, I think, roughly speaking, 27-hour drive out here. Not all in one day. I split it up over 3 days. And yeah, man, I've been moving through so much lately that I wanted to make a video. And this video, I'm going to be sharing what I'm going through as far as moving from New Jersey to Austin and all of the details along the way, because again, I'm moving through so much. I feel like I'm really hitting a stride in following my intuition and really trusting that the universe has my back in all of the ways that I used to feel like I was alone. And yeah, so I'm gonna be sharing my journey of moving halfway across the country, as well as just share what's showing up for me today and really what compelled me to make this video in the first place. And that is, it's time to graduate. It's time to graduate. Now, I'm curious to know what is the first thought that shows up. What's the first thing that shows up for you as I say that? So if you're interested in leaving a comment, feel free to. What shows up for you when I state it's time to graduate? Do you think of like school or whatever? Do you think about graduating high school or college? Like, is it a specific memory? I'm genuinely curious. So cheers. I'm gonna dive into what I'm talking about, but I actually really am genuinely curious to hear what shows up for other people as I say that. Because a lot of the time it's these bigger concepts show up for me while I'm moving through or transitioning in a multitude of ways in my life. And that's where I find inspiration to create content, ideas to make these videos. Like, it's time to graduate is the kind of the theme of today's video, but like it's really born out of not necessarily a lesson that needs to be taught so much as a lesson that needs to be learned by me in real time. And one of the best ways I've always found that I learn is through teaching and sharing and educating at the same time. And I feel myself deflecting a bit right now from really what the idea of this video is about. But okay, it's time to graduate. So let's talk about this. It's time to graduate. And what this means in the context of everything that I'm sharing today is on your healing and your wellness journey. I mean, honestly, in life itself, there will always be times where it's time to take the next step, the next level up in your life. It's time to graduate. I mean, you take all the information you learn from 1st through 8th grade, right? You graduate middle school, and then you go up to high school where you're supposed to take all of that collective knowledge and apply it to your everyday tasks within high school. And the same thing is true for healing. It's the same thing is true for consciousness itself, because we may need to cultivate a certain mindset, a certain mentality, a certain skill sets to help us heal, to help us expand our consciousness, to help us to find our purpose, to help us fulfill our purpose and all these things. But along the way, each one of these micro adventures where we cultivate a new part of our personality, we learn something that's always been intrinsically true for us, but we haven't yet fully integrated it and embodied it yet. Like, each one of these layers of healing, of taking decisive action, of being a witness to your own mental patterns, like all of these different skill sets and tools and abilities that we cultivate on the path of healing and expanding our awareness is ultimately leading us to the next point. And what that means here is that we don't have to carry the same identities, the same patterns, the same rigid structures into the next seasons of our lives. When I decided to move out to Austin, it was more of a gut feeling at first, an intuitive notion like, hey, this is home to you. And in order for me to get from the decision, like I'm moving here, to physically doing it, there were a whole bunch of things I needed to heal. Past traumas and wounds that were entangling me with my family or with old careers or old jobs. I needed to heal those parts of myself. But once the healing's done, I don't need to continue to carry that with me. As I've been here for about 4 or 5 days now, and I'm just noticing all of these old mental patterns showing up about what I'm supposed to do and all the things that I have to accomplish and what are other people doing in town? Like, what's the energy? What's the culture in Austin? How am I supposed to fit in? Like, all these questions that my mind is conjuring up so that it can go back into the old ways of being, right? The old ways of being, of hustling and grinding my face off and efforting my way to success. All of the ways that I have used to reach new levels in my life, whether it be in fitness or finances or what other things I do. Business. Did I say business? I guess finances can be included in that. In relationship, each level we get to, we integrate and embody those skill sets, those tactics, right? Those strategies until they no longer serve us. So a lot of the times, a lot of my journey has been cultivating, learning how to process all of my emotions so that they're not bubbling up inside of here, waiting for the right trigger to expunge themselves all over the place. So learning how to contain my own emotions and process them. So I would ask myself questions like, hey, what am I feeling right now? Where do I feel that at? What's showing up for me in this moment? How am I feeling emotionally? How am I feeling energetically? I would ask myself these questions, but what I'm finding right now is there's so much space around these questions in my own psyche. It's like the questions themselves are inert. They don't help me anymore because me processing my emotions is automatic now. I've embodied that. So in real time, I can process my emotions instead of having to use the mind as a tool to process the emotions and then take action. In real time, my mental framework is so well established now through all of the deep inner work and healing that I've done that it can happen automatically so that I can just be present in the moment and not have to hyperfixate on my emotions any longer. And what this is teaching me is that it's time to graduate. I've graduated past the need to re-educate my nervous system on how to process emotions. And so for somebody who may be new here, new to my work, you may be asking yourself, like, well, how would I know that I'm graduating past that? I mean, and a simple answer to that is that if you find yourself really reactive still, then there's more likely than not still a lot of emotional trauma that you have to learn to process. Because once that energy can move through you seamlessly, then you don't have to hyperfixate or consciously wield your mind as a tool to be able to navigate your emotions. Right? So if you're curious, it's like, how do I know if I'm graduating past that? I'm just sharing my personal experience right now. It's kind of showing up for me. But the truth of the matter is, whatever you're experiencing in this moment right now, as you're watching and maybe even more importantly, listening to me, whatever you're going through right now, today's the invitation to graduate from it. I mean, you can stay in 8th grade if you want to. I mean, to get to the consciousness, the mental skill sets that you've cultivated, to get to this point right now, it's no easy feat, And I think each step of the way, we have to stop and ask ourselves, like, how much more do I want to go? Did the inner work I've done, has it helped make my life more prosperous? And I don't mean this in a way where you have to be financially successful or have all of the toys and all of the things in the world. It's like, what does a fulfilling life look like to you and on you and for you? And you can always kind of check back in with that. And so it's like, to come back to the question, whatever you're moving through right now, whatever challenges or tasks or things are in front of you today to do and accomplish, has the inner work you've done helped make your life feel more rewarding, more fulfilling? And if it hasn't, then there still may be more work for you to do. And, the ego likes to kick in because the ego deals in more duality, right? This or that, black or white. So it's like, okay, if you do the inner work, your life will get better. And that's what the ego hears. But the truth is, there's so much nuance in it. Yeah, your life's going to get better, but some things are going to fucking suck first. You understand? Yeah, like when you start to heal that enmeshment trauma from your childhood that was never worked with before, never felt fully, when you start to work with that, it's going to bring up a lot of pain. And it's your job, if you choose to go down this path, to feel it. Because the degree of pain you can feel will kind of offer a counterbalance to the amount of pleasure you can enjoy. Right? The degree of pain that you feel will offer a counterbalance to the extent of pleasure that you can fully enjoy. There's this balancing act between pain and pleasure. And I don't mean forcefully making yourself go through pain because you intellectually understand that the pain can equate to a certain degree of pleasure, right? In other words, we can get caught in patterns of egoically entrapping ourselves in these higher sounding ideas of what we're supposed to do. Right? I mean, business is a really good example for me personally, just through my experience and through the way the culture around business is, it's all about grinding and hustling and working harder. And what I've found is that was never the life I really wanted to live. When I decided to get into business, like I've always felt called to be my own boss. And when I started working for myself as a personal trainer, I found myself hustling and grinding. I'm like, this isn't why I got into this. Like I wanted to work for myself for the freedom, not to grind myself down to a pulp. So I had to reconfigure how I was operating the business so that I could live a life that was in alignment with my desires. And once I figured that out, what it could look like, I had to graduate from that. Because the mind is Ram Dass says it. It's the ego is a great servant, but a lousy master. And when I usually will refer to the mind and the ego interchangeably, even though they are separate. and they're two different concepts. I will use them interchangeably a lot, but either way, when we learn to harness the power of the mind and can witness the mind in all of its operations, day in and day out, without forcing ourselves to do a bunch of things that we don't want to do or don't need to do, when we can become the witness and observe our mind, we can start to take conscious action in pursuit of the things that we truly want in the way that we want them. I'm going to say that again. When we start to harness the power of the mind, we can learn how to consciously make decisions in pursuit of the life that we want to live in the way we want to live it. But until then, many of these programs run unconsciously. And so what happens is we start to gain a grip on the mind a bit. Like we have so much awareness that we can hear our own thoughts. We notice our own feelings. Like, you could say something silly in a conversation with somebody, or seemingly stupid or weird, and in real time catch yourself say, like, oh my God, why the fuck did I just say that? Right? So you have a good amount of awareness already. If you're there and you can recognize your own thoughts in real time, like, you have a tremendous intrinsic gift. It doesn't always feel like it. Trust me, as somebody who spent years with anxiety and overthinking everything and feeling like I created so many of my own problems. I did, and it is a gift. It's just learning how to harness that gift, right? And so we start to become familiar with the mind and the way it thinks. And the more and more you witness that, the more and more you sit with it, through meditation, it could be through working out, like whatever activity allows you to just witness all of your beingness in real time. So your thoughts going by, the feelings you're experiencing, what you're physically doing in the world in this moment. The more and more you can witness that, right? Then you start to learn more about yourself on a deep intrinsic level. I'm not just talking about, I like potatoes over sweet potatoes because they taste better. Like, the surface level stuff is great, but if we peel a layer back, you'll start to see that potatoes actually might have some level of comfort in your psyche for when you were a kid and potatoes and French fries were comfort food. You start to learn more and more about yourself in these ways. Not just why you do what you do, but why you do what you do because you do it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it makes sense. And the more and more you do this, you cultivate the spaciousness within to just witness all of it. And then you start to see which actions are actually in alignment with you and who you are, right? Because we have to look at this for a moment and see, like, you're God reincarnated, experiencing a different slice of life, right, than me. So we are both the one and the many. And so you have to honor both of these in that journey. And the way the mind works is it likes familiarity, especially when we're still working with a lot of wounds, because it needs something visceral, it needs something physically to grab onto. It needs these habits and routines and these structures, right? And I'm not saying don't do these things, they're great, but the mind needs physical structure to hold into place. And the truth, like, to get a sense of safety. And the truth is, you can be your own sense of safety. So when you start to cultivate these structures internally, there's going to come a time to graduate from them. Right? Like, as a parent, you're going to level up in your ability to be a mom and dad. So your mental imagery of yourself has to evolve with you. So it's time to graduate. As a leader, as a business owner, right? As a trainer, as a coach, like, you're going to be called to level up at a certain point. You're going to be called to graduate, where you have to let go of the mental attachments to these identifications or these habits or these routines. It's not about not going for a workout. You've cultivated the identity of a healthy person. Beautiful. You've embodied that. Now you don't have to be attached to the outcome from that identity. And so that's what graduating is all about. It's all about moving beyond the attachment to those old identities, those old feelings, those old emotions, because when you heal, right, you can then integrate the wounds, the traumas from all of your past experiences into how you move. And to come back to my story and what I'm going through right now in this wild Austin adventure I've been on for the last, I guess, week now, it's like I came out here with a half-baked plan, and mentally I wanted a plan, right? Like Tyler and all of the constructs, they want this plan, to have the perfect place to live and all the structures and routines in place and the friend groups and all the things I'm going to do. But The truth of the matter is, what I felt called to do was kind of act spontaneously. I'm not in the best financial situation. On paper, financially, this decision didn't make any sense. None at all. But I made the decision back in November, back in November that I was moving out to Austin no matter what. And since I went off to college my freshman year, I've always wanted to live away from New Jersey, where I was from. I've always wanted to adventure more. But my old patterns of survival and fear kept me stuck. I mean, I went away to college for 2 semesters, then moved back. I moved out to Pennsylvania back in 2020, and then 6 months later moved back. And I always ask myself, like, what am I doing? Like, I know deep down I really want to live far away. I want to expand myself. I want to explore the world. I want to understand different cultures. And, already, even though same country, albeit 1,800 miles away, like, there's a vast difference between the culture of Austin, Texas and South New Jersey. And what I keep feeling myself being called to do is shed the identity of all of the structure and all of the plans and all of the routines, and just be in the moment. I've already created a habit and routine of waking up and going for a walk every morning, and going to a gym that's a few blocks down the road in the early afternoon. So it's like intuitively I'm creating these structures in my life, but it's not the same way because I'm living in an Airbnb for the next 2 weeks. It's less than 2 weeks now, but I don't have a plan beyond that just yet. I'm letting life bring me the opportunities when they arise. And this is weird for me, y'all. This is weird for me. I'm being called to, I'm being asked by the divine to trust a layer deeper and move intuitively and trust that I'm taken care of, without the normal structures in place that give me that sense of safety. Does that make sense? Right? Because normally I have a house, a career, a job, an apartment, not necessarily a house. I have my family nearby to lean on. I have the area I grew up in where I know it like the back of my head, I can know where I can find a job. I know where I can make money. I know I can do this, that, and the other thing. I know it all. All these ideas, it's all known. And now this chapter of life is like, hey, you've graduated to the next level. Are you ready to sit with it? And the last few days, I've just been sleeping so much because, one, I could feel the exhaustion from the trip out here. And two, it's like my body's recalibrating to the energetic field of Austin. It's a different area. It's a different feel around here. It's so vastly different. And I'm being called to not just level up, not just graduate, but I'm being called to receive. I'm being called to receive right now. And I feel like the truth is we all always are. It's just about our ability to trust in our innate power. Like, you are a creative being. Whether you're consciously doing it or not, you are creating the life you are living right now. And so much of this work, maybe this video really speaks to you. You're like, what am I supposed to do next? All those kinds of questions show up for me all the time. Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And it's like, sometimes the answer to that question is nothing. But witness all of yourself. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to or feel your feelings. Can you exist in this space where those feelings arise and those thoughts exist and not do anything but hold that space for yourself? If it wasn't for all of the inner work I've done the last 5 to 6 years, I would have been panicking right now, given my circumstances. Like, I can actually laugh thinking about that. I totally would have been panicking right now, given my circumstances, because I have no plan in place. I am letting God lead the way. And, the logical part of my mind sometimes wonders if I'm losing it. And the truth is, in some way I am. I'm losing the idea of what Tyler thought he had to be. And I'm grabbing as much of this thing called life as I possibly fucking can, knowing fully that like I am the powerful creative force that is creating this life. I'm both creating it and receiving it, because we create through asking for having the fucking courage to ask for the desires that we crave and yearn for. And then when the opportunities present themselves, we take them. Right? That's how we are creative, because we ask for what we want, and then in that space of courageousness, the divine will see it and be like, yo, here it comes. Are you ready to take it? The problem is the mind comes in and was like, oh, well, I thought it was supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be this way, you know? Like a year ago, mentally, I know what I would have been saying is, oh, well, I don't have a house yet. I don't have the best financial situation lined up yet. Like I don't have this figured out yet. My mind would have come up with so many reasons not to make this trip. And it's like I asked God, I asked the source for this opportunity. And when it presented itself, I knew it was time to take it. So that's how we become creative beings. We recognize our desires. And then when the opportunities present themselves in big ways and in small ways, we have to grab life by the fucking horns. So it's time to graduate, y'all. It's time to graduate today. It's time to fucking graduate from the old level of consciousness you've been moving from. I'm not saying abandon those parts of yourself. I'm saying move with them. You know, the wounded inner child has a seat at the table all the time, right? As I was driving out here, I was listening to my inner child saying the fears and the scarcity and the lack and all these things. It's going to show up, y'all. Healing doesn't mean that shit dissipates or goes away forever. It eventually, when you create enough space internally, it inevitably dissolves into the fabric of your being, where you move consciously from all parts of yourself. But each step comes a graduation, your ceremony, if you will, and you have a say in that. So I'm going to wrap up there, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Just another reminder, it's time to graduate, y'all. What does that look like for you today? And if you want to share down below, I would love to hear from it. That all out of the way, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one as a wellness mentor, all the information will be down below. And I think that's all I got to say. Do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.